have a very smudgy glasses. Not only am I washing my hands more, I'm also putting hand lotion on more because they are very concerned you cracks and, you know, irritation on your skin. Oh, maybe, much better. That's the virus in. I'm Barbara. Well, thank you for joining me in my daily ramble while being home. So thank you to everyone who's commented and reached out and told me their story. Thank you so much. This poor plant, I watered it. I did. I swear I watered it. Apparently didn't look so good yesterday. Poor thing. So I turned it a little bit too because the source of light is right here. And so it needs to be repotted. I'm using my goldfinch mug that I love so much. I didn't get quite as many things checked off on my check off, but it did help. That list helped me remember to take my vitamins, which is what prompted it in the first place. I didn't start the book yet, but I did knit a little bit yesterday and I bound off the body of my Edie sweater, so that's fun. And everything else is quite minimal on it. Isabel Kramer's a little bit of a minimalist, so you know, like around the neckline is optional, but I'm gonna do something. But her neckline is basically pick up stitches and then purl a row and bind off. Not a lot. And the sleeves are only 6 rows. My sleeves will be longer. I have sort of old lady flappy arms. I'm not stopping at 6, I'm quite sure, but I will weigh my yarn so I know how far I can go. I spent too much time watching TV yesterday, as we are wont to do. Not so much, I kind of avoided the articles. I only watched a few articles about sort of how the coronavirus is doing in Europe. I'm mostly watching my news on YouTube, and so I'm seeing BBC News and I think it's CW or GW. It's English language, but it's based in Germany. There are English language YouTube channels from Spain talking about what's happening there. And RT has a nice feed on YouTube that talks about some, you know, mostly United States stuff. Well, all around the world, but it includes more United States stuff. Although it's the Brits include a bunch of American information too. So I am getting some stuff from the U.S. and I watch a CNBC or a CBS clip when it looks interesting or when it looks informative, because I do want to keep in track of what's going on in the United States. The numbers in New York are looking terrible. I think it's interesting, those of you in Great Britain, how is it that we both have leaders that have terrible hair? What the heck is going on with Boris Johnson? I think he does his hair like that on purpose. Every day, his hair, I mean, it's literally sticking out. I think he puts like product on his hair, goes through, combs it nice, and then goes bzip, 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 bzip. Does he think it makes him look like he's working hard if his hair is messy? Is he single? Where's his family to say, Dad, comb your hair? I don't know. Anyway, and of course, there's Trump and his hair. He's famous for his hair, though, you know. We knew what we were getting, although apparently the Brits did too, because if he looks like that every day, then they got Boris with the hair. But what's with the hair? Anyway, so things are locking down in Britain now. I just, as I was grabbing my phone, I saw a message from my friend Megan in New Zealand. New Zealand's locking down now, so things are locking down, but mostly what I was watching yesterday was about the economy and sort of what was going to happen, and I think that we are such a capitalist, money's the most important thing society, that I'm afraid our lockdown is not going to be long enough to deal with the virus, because they will be in a panic over the economy, and I don't know how that'll work out. So we shall see. We shall see. But that's a lot of what I was watching yesterday, was like sort of like trying to figure out, economists talking and whatever. I mean, we're in a completely unprecedented situation at this point. They're predicting higher unemployment rates than we had during the Great Depression. I mean, really, it's going to be interesting in the Chinese curse sense of the word. May you live in interesting times is the Chinese curse. It's going to be interesting, and we will see what we look like when we come out the other end. But that's what I was watching, trying to, figure out what it's going to look like for my granddaughters, the world they're going to be in. I did talk to my son. Allison did start her job yesterday, so she's not between jobs, so that's good, and she liked it. I mean, it was her first day, so she's excited about that. They had moved at the beginning of the year to a different town, actually, and they had kept Isabel in her school and Sammy in her school, and they were working near them, and so they were able to manage that. But Sammy's school closed, I guess, and so they found a school they like closer to their new house, and they are still open. And not only are they open for the 3.5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, which is how old Sammy is, they are also taking in older siblings in a sort of casual classroom situation. So Isabel and Sammy are going to the same place. They are not social distancing, which is not mandated in Florida yet. Florida is behind a lot of places, which frankly is a little bit criminal because Florida has a huge elderly population. So many people have moved to Florida or are in Florida at this time, snowbirds. They go down, they don't want to be in the winter up here, and they go down to Florida. And you would think, they would be as important to the governor as spring breaker kids who are running around with their Corona beers saying, this is the only Corona in my life. I'm not worried about any other Coronas. Anyway, so Allison and Jason are both working, and things seem like they're keeping on. So that phone call was one of my check marks, make phone calls, because I'm calling everybody, And my dad had called them. My father's calling people too. He had my niece bring him his telephone list. I mean, he's calling his cousins. My dad's 89. He'll be 89 this year. And, so his cousins are old. And his sister and people he hasn't talked to in a really long time. He says, I hope they don't mind me bothering them. I'm saying, Daddy, I'm sure they're thrilled to hear from you. So he's reaching out to people, and he called Jason and Allison too. And that's what we're doing, reaching out to the people who we haven't talked to in a really long time. And touching base and making sure people are okay. Yeah. Messaged my friend Margie yesterday too. I hadn't talked to her, and she, is not particularly well and is a part of the vulnerable. She's 65 and not well. I don't know where the person was, but the first person to die in some place, and it was a man who was in his late 40s. And I looked at Dennis and said, I have been, I think in my core of myself, been believing that even if we got sick, we would survive. I guess I have to keep believing that. To keep going sanely, to stay sane. I have to believe that. I mean, we are really working hard to do everything we can to not get sick. Dennis said if we need to be hospitalized, they may not have a bed for us because we're over 65. So, wow. Anyway, I'm going to pick sticks today. It is cloudy, but not raining, and it's supposed to go up to the low 50s, so it'll be a good day to pick sticks. This is my grandpa, Hohi Locatelli Bulky Grandpa, Super Bulky Grandpa sweater that I was talking about yesterday. That kind of, it didn't felt, but it really snugged up, and it's turned into like a lovely jacket. Really nice jacket. That fits me now that I'm smaller. Didn't fit me quite so well before. Anyway, I'm going to start my book today, my sister's granddaughter's book, and read a little bit and see what I think. I'm going to try to, I'm a bit of a skimmer when I read, you know. I'm like, get to the good part and skim, you know. So I'm going to try to read it more carefully than I usually do. She says it's not a very big book, and I haven't looked to see how, you know, many pages it is or how long Kindle thinks it will take me to read it. But I'm going to try to read it more carefully and take some notes perhaps even, and so that I can discuss it with my sister and our new little book club. So anyway, no grand thoughts today. Not that I've had any grand thoughts. Just thinking about how we keep going. Probably finish my sweater today. I didn't even pick up my knitting till pretty late in the evening last night. Somehow sitting and watching Corona TV didn't make me pick up my knitting, and I'm not sure why. Well, I was in the short row section of the hem, and so maybe it was, you know, but it wasn't that hard to do while I was watching TV. But I didn't watch TV, and I'm trying not to. You know, I've got my lists and things to do, but it's not the boss of me, and I have time. And if I need to just, you know, relax. Some of these on my to-do around the house list are really big, so I need to start another page of, you know, finish organizing the craft room. I need that to be a page and then break that down into smaller steps, things like that. But one thing I'm going to do today, I think, is plant grass seed. That's on here, and it's just going to take 5 minutes. We bought the grass seed, so now I just need to go out with a, you know, plastic bowl full of seeds and just sprinkle them in the mud. We have so much mud, and we're going to continue to have mud. When you look at our forecast for the next 10 days, it's a little bit of rain and sun and clouds and a little bit of clouds and, you know, rain in the evening or whatever. It's not going to dry up here anytime soon. So now's the time to put the grass seed out. It's spring. And I'm just going to sprinkle it, let the dogs smash it in. You know, I mean, there's no way to keep them off. We have plastic chairs strategically placed in the yard so that when they're running around, they, you know, it changes their running pattern a little bit. So we might rearrange those chairs now with an eye towards grass seeds. But do what you can do. You can do what you can do. And I am expecting a load. I ordered a cord of firewood yesterday, and Michelle called me this morning and said the guys are going to bring it today. Firewood is apparently an essential item, so she's open. And I got a half a cord at the beginning of the winter, and we just moved the last of it into the garage, which is our staging area before the fireplace. We had a fire last night. That was nice. Made it very cozy, you know. And so we're getting another cord. We have enough firewood in the garage, I think, for the rest of this season, but I wanted to make sure I had lots for next winter, and that means it'll sit and age or dry or whatever over the summer and be very ready for our fires next year. And it makes me feel good to have those kinds of things in stock. You know, I think I've told you about this before, but there are little things that just make me feel good. And I guess, and even from before this is just a thing I've realized about myself. But, and it's not, you know, and I guess it comes from the same place that the panic buying comes from, and, you know, sort of the lizard brain of making sure we have enough. But when my firewood pile is high and when my milk jug has got lots of milk in it, I feel better. When the milk jug gets down to here, it starts to bother me. I don't even drink milk, so it doesn't bother me anymore now because I can't drink milk now because milk has carbs. But like when the trash is a brand new bag and there's lots of room, I like that. That feels comforting, you know, this weirdly comforting to me. It's, you know, comforting to me to see that I have an extra jar, you know, can of olives in my pantry. So I have olives, you know, things like that. But it's really the everyday things like milk and, you know, I like to see a full stack of firewood. I've come to realize it just gives me this feeling of whatever that lizard brain says, you've got to make sure you have enough food in the cupboard kind of thing. And of course we're all feeling it now, I guess. But so having that firewood is going to make me feel better, even though I'm not even going to use it till next winter. And next winter, it'll be interesting to see what next winter looks like. I can't even predict. But I've been washing my hands. I've been taking my temperature. Oh, another interesting thing that has just come out. Dennis read it somewhere, and then I heard it on TV too. One of the first signs people have noticed that they have coronavirus is they lose their sense of smell. So like a woman who got it, she said, I realized that the Clorox wipes I was using had been making me sick. Like the smell of them, you know, really bothered her. And then the smell stopped bothering her. And she, you know, very soon before she realized she had coronavirus. And a chef who got coronavirus said right before she realized she was sick, she had stopped being able to distinguish her herbs by smell. So that's another sign. So keep an eye out. If your sniffer's not sniffing great, it might be the first sign that you're sick. So be very, very careful and take notice of things like that. I thought that was pretty interesting. Anyway, not much to talk about today, but that doesn't mean I can't talk for 18 minutes because I can. So I hope I will be picking sticks today. That's my plan after the wood arrives, which is probably going to come shortly. And like every other day, we're going to walk the dogs. And if we come across a friendly dog, we let the dogs interact. But of course, we stay far away from the people. But we're each at the end of a leash. So it's a very easy way to distance yourself. And we walked in the rain yesterday. We don't usually do that, but the dogs need the walk. They don't need it for exercise, but it's their right as the family dog. They get a walk every day. So even if it's short, they're fine with that. They don't care. But they need to go out and sniff new sniffs and smell those other dogs and maybe interact with the dog as a ritual that is required of us. They are the family dog, and they get a walk every day. So luckily, we won't have to walk in the rain today. It's not going to be bright and sunny, but it's not raining either, and that's nice. So, my dogs are lazy girls. Can you see Pearl? There she is. Maisie is somewhere else. We have the door closed because we're expecting the wood and because of the mud. So they're both in. But I will let them out soon. And the day will go forth. So have a wonderful day. Stay very safe. Wash your hands. You know, be careful. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.